Hello and welcome to another Adventure Habits with me, David Overton, and Splash Maps. And today we've got a really watery adventurer for you. I don't think, I think this is actually the first rowing one we've got, but this lady has done some extraordinary things in a boat. And then she's repeated it, and she's done it several times. In fact, I think she's gone probably the furthest of most human beings. 22,000 miles in total, mostly back and forth across the Atlantic in a rowboat, sometimes on her own, sometimes with a whole heap of other people, and sometimes just two people. And I'm really pleased to welcome Dawn Smith of the Aurora Row team duo, midway through her latest adventure. First part done, second part to come in June. And Dawn, without further ado, welcome to Splash Maps.
Hello, thank you very much for having me.
Well, it's an absolute pleasure. And I've got to say, looking down through all your accolades, including your British Empire medal as well from,
I should have
presumably
worn
your
it.
previous career. Um, yeah, I mean, have you, it's an extraordinary feat and an absolute clutch of world medals and race wins for you over these extraordinary distances rowing across the Atlantic. I mean, have you always rowed and what got you into it?
So I started rowing about 10 years ago. So I set up the rowing club here in my hometown of Burnham-on-Crouch, and I was the chairman for the first few years as well. So that's how I got into rowing. But actually, maritime wise, I've been a commercial mariner for over 20 years. So before I even started rowing, I was I'm a yacht master examiner, anything to do with boats, really. I either do it or teach it.
Fantastic. And that then went on into your, you went and became a police. You were in the police, the boat police, whatever you call that
Yeah,
officially.
yeah. So I joined Essex Police in 1996 and did 26 years service. So I left 4 years ago. But the majority of my career was on the marine section. So that's where I got all my maritime experience and qualifications. Yeah, so we would patrol the whole of the Essex coastline. It's about 400 miles from just past Harwich in Mistley right down to the Dartford River crossing going into London.
Wow. Well, I mean that's it. So you were used to going large distances, but presumably they didn't force you to row that boat.
No, I had an engine, so that was pretty good.
Cheating, right? Well, in comparison with now, anyway. And the way that I know, I don't know if it's Burnham-on-Crouch, but I know the Crouch River. We do the Crouch and Roach sea chart, so we've got all the Admiralty charts. We've got full license with Admiralty, but we made a special one for that area for Rannoch boats.
Yes,
So
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
it's obviously a big boat thing. Have they ever? Do you know them?
Yes, absolutely.
Is it a
So
small world? The cross Atlantic rowboat making world?
yeah, well, so where I live in Burnham-on-Crouch, Rannoch Adventure is based in Burnham-on-Crouch, and they make the boats. So pretty much, I mean, there's a couple of other companies that um, do make boats as well, but a much smaller scale. So the
Yeah.
majority of the ocean rowing boats out there are made by Rannoch in this town of Burnham-on-Crouch. And that's when I first. So Charlie Pitcher is the founder of Rannoch Adventure, and I met him when we set up the rowing club in Burnham. So he's the president of the rowing club. So that's where we first met and how I got into
Oh, what a
ocean
lovely
rowing.
coincidence. Yeah, yeah. I mean, we know Charlie from. We did a project together with Jordan Wiley,
Yeah,
rowing dangerously, and he did the Bab el Menep Strait. Not quite the same distance, but hairy. I think
yeah.
you could say that crossing that crossing was. But okay, great, great. Well, I know a bit more about the ocean going craft world in that case now. And you have gone back and forth across the Atlantic. Well, you've done five crossings so far. Is that right?
I've done 5 crossings of the Atlantic, but I've done 6 crossings altogether. So I've done the Pacific as well. So I did my first row was solo in 2019, and that was from Gran Canaria to Barbados. Completely solo, unsupported, no race, no anything. It was just me on my own in a tiny little rowboat. And then I rowed the Atlantic 2 more times in one of Rannoch's boats called Roxy, which is a 12-person rowing boat. Then I did the Pacific as a female trio, and we beat the world record for the fastest female team to have rowed the Mid-Pacific, and we won the female trophy.
Yeah.
Then I rowed the Atlantic last year as a team of 4, and we won the female trophy on that one as well. And I broke the world record for the most amount of rows any female's ever done. And the row I've just done, winter just gone, that was 2 of us, me and Paul, and we broke the world record for the fastest mixed mixed pair to have rowed the Atlantic Ocean east to west.
Wow. So constant record breaking, I
Yes, I've
think,
got
and
four records now. Yeah.
fabulous. And the next one to come again with Paul Law is the home to home, going from his homestead up in Canada. Is it St. John's?
Well, that's where we're starting from, but the whole expedition is called the Hometown Row because we rowed the Atlantic to Antigua, and we was going to then row from Antigua to Paul's hometown in Florida, but unfortunately the weather was absolutely shocking, so we had to stop in Antigua, and then we shipped the boat to his hometown. So we did get to his hometown. We had a party there and celebrated breaking the world record. But the next leg is now going to be, we're going to tow the boat by road up to St. John's in Canada, and we're going to row back to my hometown in Burnham-on-Crouch, and that's happening in June this year.
Love it, love it. And so no two crossings of the Atlantic are the same. Different start points, different end points, lots of variety. Which do you think is the toughest, or which do you think is going to be the toughest? Because I've looked at distances, and they vary quite a bit. Numbers of days. Do I get an impression from that? There must be some factor that makes one route worse than another. I mean, which one's been the biggest challenge?
I think the biggest challenge, well, definitely going solo is a massive challenge because there is nobody else. It's just me. Nobody else is rowing. Nobody else is going to fix anything. So if something breaks, it's down to me. And but weather-wise, the start of the Pacific was the most difficult because you've got a constant where the high pressure system circulates. You've got a constant wind on the beam of the boat trying to push you back to land. So you've got to fight that for about 2 weeks before you can then get out into the trade wind. So that was really tough. The Atlantic this year was wet. It rained. It rained. It rained. It was absolutely shocking. But I think the North Atlantic is going to be tougher still, rowing back from St. John's, because it's going to be much colder. The weather conditions are going to be rougher. I mean, we're likely to be looking around icebergs, and we'll be navigating probably out of fog as we leave. So
Yeah.
that's and it's a route that neither of us have done yet. So yeah, that's going to be the most challenging one yet, I think.
I can imagine. So, I mean, probably good sense to go in June rather than in the winter months, but still you're going to come across the icebergs, etc. I mean, I'm just wondering, how do you, this sport of yours seems to be the ultimate in stamina and persistence. I mean, how do you keep that doggedness?
It is quite difficult because but you haven't got an option. I think is the answer to that. If I went out for a run and I halfway through I thought that's it, I can't run anymore, you can phone a friend to pick you up. In the middle of an ocean, you have got no choice. You either keep
Hmm.
going and get to the other end, or you stop rowing and you'll drift there eventually, but it will take you 3 times as long, or you get rescued and forfeit your £60,000 worth of boat.
Yeah.
So having no option is actually quite good for the mind.
Yeah, it's like burning bridges or something like that. You kind of, well, we're going this way. That's it.
Yeah, it really changes your mindset, and it makes you realize you're capable of a lot more than you believe. Because so many
Mm,
times on the roads that I've done, I remember thinking, This I cannot go anymore. I'm exhausted. I can't do this." And then 2 hours later, I was still doing it because there wasn't an option.
yeah, yeah. Well, it's a gift, I reckon. I think you must have it in spades as well. But I mean, there's a lot of work looking at your website and the online stuff that you're you do you pull up other people with you as well. So tell me a little bit about that.
What in regards to the training school?
Yeah, you train people, and it's about leadership qualities
Yeah.
and all of that stuff, I guess.
Yeah, so when I left the police 4 years ago, I set up my own business, Aurora Sea School. And yeah, so if you want to row an ocean, you come to me for a week, do all your mandatory RYA courses, but you don't just get the RYA courses, you get all the experience. You know, people are like sponges. I literally will just share all the information that I can think of with them, and I just want everyone, if somebody wants to do it, I just want them to have a really, really great crossing. And, if I can stop people making mistakes that other people have done, then that's amazing.
Fantastic, fantastic. Well, and I'm sure we're going to get many, many more people going across the Atlantic and carrying out all the amazing things that you've done. Now you do it with a purpose as well. I mean, I love that you're Dawn and that the name Aurora comes from dawn as well, the sort of Greek sunrise
Yeah.
word, I guess. Um, but have you what's your big what do you want to get most from this next leg, and what do you want to draw attention to?
So both me and Paul are doing it for charity. So Paul's charity is Canines for Heroes, which is an American charity, provides service dogs for veterans, and my
Yeah.
charity is called Phoenix Heroes, and that's a UK-based organisation that again looks after veterans by doing sometimes simple things like taking people fishing. So you've got a group
Mm.
of people that will go fishing, and while you're sat next to somebody fishing, you're not making eye contact. So it becomes a lot easier to then talk and talk about your issues, and it makes it easier to make friends, and it really really helps a lot of people. And yeah, they've done some really great work. So as far as charity
Yeah.
wise, that's what we're doing it for. But also I want
And
to.
I'm very, very grateful to Gary Stockton for putting us in touch with each other from Phoenix, and
Yeah, he's
we
absolutely
have
amazing.
yeah, a great guy. And we had Jason Reeves on last week, who runs Embers Bushcraft, which is aimed at roughly the same sort of thing, or it's woodcraft rather than bushcraft. But yeah, he'll listen to his one when that comes out. You'll be listening to it tomorrow, and it will be, we'll put this one out in 2 weeks. Um, but yeah, it's great that there are these organisations that look out for people with PTSD, and there are more of them than you think. So don't suffer, people. Get in touch with people like Dawn and people like Gary from Phoenix, and so has it proved useful in raising money for Phoenix? Are you getting some good contributions?
Yeah, it's going pretty well. So if you go on my website, roaurora.co.uk, there's a link to the charity there, so you can donate there. But it's not only just about money; it's about raising awareness, showing the things we're doing out on the ocean are also quite good for your mental health. Stuff like just clearing. So while you're out there, while you're rowing, you can't look at your emails and social media and let normal life things worry you. You've got other things to worry about, like shark and
Uh,
great big waves.
Okay, well, fantastic. Well, yeah. Do we'll put a link on in the show notes, and so everyone follow that underneath this video or while you're listening, etc. I just before we go into the adventure habits, is there one outstanding? Oh my God, we're never going to get out of this alive moment that you can remember from any of your voyages that you'd like to share?
Yeah, there's been a few, and probably the ones are when you've nearly capsized. So on my solo row, this huge wave, because when you're rowing, you obviously face backwards, so you can see this thing coming, and it broke just at the stern of my boat, and well, I held my breath, held on to the guardrails because I thought that was it. I thought we was going. I'll say we because I called the boat as well. So I thought we was
Yeah.
going upside down. That was pretty scary. Similar experience on Roxy, but that one nearly pitch poled, which basically means the back of the boat will flip over, so it'll go back end over the front. That nearly happened. Like the whole front end of the boat was underneath the water. I was up to
Uh,
my chest in water. That's how. But the boat was just so
yeah.
amazing. It continued to float. We got the boat moving, and then the water drains out of it. So yeah, I think
I mean, I guess they don't make these boats in ignorance, right?
exactly, yeah. There's been a lot of thoughts and design has gone into these things. So yeah, that's probably
Yeah.
the scariest moments is it, and what makes it a scary moment is it's something you can't do anything about. You know, all the training that I've done, I know if there's a medical emergency, I can deal with it. If the water maker breaks, I can deal with it. All these scary things that can happen, I know how to deal with it. There is nothing you can do. If Mother Nature decides it's going to chuck a big wave at you, that's what's happening, and you can't control it.
Yeah. I mean, just forgive my ignorance, but I guess you're tethered to the boat
Yes.
in some way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100% of
Yeah.
the time. If your door is about to come open, you need to be clipped onto that boat because if you fall in big waves, you will get disconnected from the boat and that's it. You won't be able to get back to it. So yeah, 100% of the time you're attached.
It's a high stakes game, and I think that's of all the adventures we've learned about, and 20, we've had 28 of these episodes now. Um, uh, this is a really great example of a no turning back
Yeah.
type exercise, and that you will just plow straight back into it, and then even do mad things like going around the coast to get back to your beloved Crouch River, rather than just jumping off at Land's End, which
Yeah.
even that it's too much. Okay, right. Enough of this. You know why you're here. And I think all our listeners will know now that you are an incredibly well qualified adventurer, someone who's built up some habits over some time. And I was just wondering if you'd like to share those adventure habits with us, Dawn, and tell us your first of all your number one habit. What would you like to share with our listeners?
I think the first one is know your why. And what I mean, why are you actually doing it? Because when I run these courses, I'll get all these teams sat around the room. I say, why are you doing this? And they'll say, I'm raising money for some charity that they just. That's amazing. That's amazing. You're raising money for charity, but that's not why you're doing it. It needs to be. You need to have a goal for yourself to do this. And if you can help other people with that, that's amazing. But
Mm.
you know, if you haven't, people that have got a goal, that have got a goal that means something to them, there was a study that means you're about 80% more resilient. If you don't know your why, if you don't know why you're doing it, then the whole training, trying to get to the start line is the biggest hurdle, and you probably won't get to the start line because you're not resilient enough to know what your why is. So know your why. I think is my first one.
Brilliant. And so when someone comes to you and sort of does the course with you and learns yacht mastering and that sort of stuff, and then says, I'd like to go, I'm going to have a go at this, you will hammer into them until they come out with a satisfactory why.
Yeah, that's it. And some people, the charity is definitely, they're suffering with cancer themselves, so they're doing it for
Hmm.
the hospital that saved their life. I mean, that's an amazing why. But some people will just
Yeah.
pick a charity like the lifeboat, which that's amazing, but that's not why they're doing it. So yeah, I'll have it, and sometimes it might be over a beer in the evening. That's where you really find out where the why is. But it's
Oh,
important to have that.
yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah. But you're not the first to come out with that one, but it is. I mean, that's the important thing. The more times that that comes out, the more people realise that's actually and that's the same with everything. If you're setting out in business or exercise, or you've got some ambition, the goal isn't it the thing that you write it down as well, and
Yeah.
just you have to kind of live with it before you can actually make it work. We had Jamie Ramsey saying something very similar. He ran from Toronto to Buenos Aires, so that's a fair distance. That was like 14,000, or was it 17,000 kilometers? It's a mad distance
Yeah.
as well. But he was doing it for charity, like yourself, but his bigger why was really for direction in life,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
sometimes,
Yeah.
and I guess in that case he discovered that he didn't have enough of a why, and so the running began that. Anyway, every adventure is different, right? So what's your number two habit, Dawn?
Prepare obsessively. If you are not prepared for whatever adventure it is you're about to take on, you are either not going to succeed or you're going to have a terrible time doing it. To row an ocean, you need to know about weather, you need to know about boat preparation, you need to have done the correct courses, you need to have trained on your boat, you need to know every inch of that boat inside and out. If you just turn up to the start line ill prepared, you may well, and people have got across the Atlantic Ocean. In fact, I hope he doesn't mind me saying, but Ben Fogle, him and James Cracknell rowed across the Atlantic. They got across successfully, but they had a horrible time, and the reason was that the first time they got on their boat was at the start line. They've not properly
Oh,
prepared because they didn't. And to be fair, back then, I mean, how do you prepare? Now more people have done it. You've got more people to speak to. But at the time, they were relying on the fact that James Cracknell was an amazing rower, and that's what was going to get them across. Where actually,
yeah,
there's a lot more that goes into it. Yeah. So,
yeah.
yeah.
So familiarity.
Yes.
Familiarity with all the kit that you're going to be taking with you as well. And I mean, that translates through all the adventures that you could have as well. And I'd say, if you're walking, take a map. If you're going ocean wise, then of course you'd take a chart, wouldn't you? And perhaps you'd take one that
Exactly.
isn't going to suffer the ravages of the sea, basically.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. If you go out there without any charts and or one that's going to dissolve in the rain, you could find yourself a bit stuck.
I think so. I think so. Great, great. Nice plug, by the way. I do like that.
Oh,
Okay.
very good.
Number three.
um, Number three is about breaking challenges down into. So, for example, the Atlantic Ocean. If I sat at the
Hmm.
start line and thought, well, the next stop is Barbados or Antigua or wherever I'm trying to get to, that's huge. That's massive. It blows your mind. So what you have to do is break that down into smaller challenges. So some days the weather might be amazing. So your next challenge is 12 hours time. I'm going to cook my meal. But some days
Yeah.
it's so hard. You literally need to each hour give yourself a goal. Right, at the end of this hour, I'm going to eat a square of chocolate. At the end of the next hour, I'm going to eat a jelly baby. And then at the end of my 3 hour shift, I'm going to get in that sleeping bag and sleep like I've never slept. So it's about you don't even think about the end. You're thinking about what's at the next small chunk that you've designed. So yeah, breaking big challenges down into small ones is really important, not just for rowing ocean, for doing a big run, for general life. I think that can be really useful.
It sounds like that the small rewards are an important part of
Oh
that. So
yeah,
it's not just let's do 3,000 rows and then I'll be happy. It's kind
yeah,
of like 3,000 rows, then a jelly baby. I like that because those are things that we can take along with us. And by the way, you do need to charge yourself up quite a lot. I'd imagine is there like I mean, how do you unload all the calories that you need to row for a full day on the Atlantic? Are you constantly snacking as you go along, or is
yeah.
there like some massive broth that you make up in the morning or something?
You're pretty much eating the whole way across. So you've got to be careful when
Yeah.
you stop rowing because you carry on eating like that. But
Right.
the freeze dried meals, so you may have three like proper meals per day, which is the freeze dried stuff. A lot of those have got about 1,000 calories in them. But then in between that, you're eating nuts, sweets, anything that's high calorie. You're
Mm.
trying to biltong's quite good as well. Yeah, and it's got to be stuff that you like. If you don't, some people have packed their boat with all this amazing nutritionally based food, but they don't like it, so it's got 0 calories in it because they're not eating it.
Yeah. Yeah. You have to like it.
Yeah,
Well, yeah.
so that might
I
be a
get. I
three A pack food you like.
Yes. Yeah. I've done that before. Setting off on a big cycling trip and thinking, oh, I need to take more flapjacks. And boy, do you get tired of the taste of
Oh yeah,
flapjacks after like the third one. You're just thinking, what the?
yeah,
Why did I do
yeah,
this? Um, But okay, great, great. So we're getting some good habits here. Know your why, prepare obsessively, and break it down. And one that we had recently was with Mitch Hutchcraft. He did the longest ascent of Everest. So it started with a channel swim on this side. And he said that was the very worst of it. That was the very worst part, was swimming across the channel. And he literally broke it down to the stroke.
yeah,
Each stroke, he was counting each stroke, and it was the only way to do it. And in those, I guess he has the same sort of situation that you have on a boat. You've only got a certain amount of influence over the progress that boat is going, or that he was swimming. Other than that, there's currents, there's wind, there's waves, there's all sorts of stuff that's going to be trying to pull you in a different direction each time. So, yeah, that needing to count those things, maybe rather than the whole distance, I guess is really important.
yeah.
Superb. Right. Okay. We're on to number 4 already, rocketing through these. So, what's your fourth adventure habit, Dawn?
Four is build the right team. So my first row was solo. Actually, it wasn't solo. I might have been in the boat on my own, but there were people on shore that were part of the social media team. There were people that were, some of them just literally sending messages of support, making sure I was okay. I had Charlie Pitcher actually was doing my weather. So I had all these people that were into. So although it was a solo row, it wasn't. It
Hmm.
takes a community to build a team. So
Yeah.
and it needs to be the right team. Um, I've had quite a few teams that have come to me to do their training, and when they actually come to do the row, they're a completely different team. Team members have changed. It's not because any of them were not nice people. It's just because that didn't work. They had different goals. If one of the team wants to beat a world record and the other person wants to watch the amazing wildlife, it's not going to work because there's different goals. So
Yeah.
everybody needs the same why. You need a good team with loads of different skills from all different places.
Yeah, great. And so, when people were looking out for the weather for you, you doing it solo? Were they radioing to you, or did you have some way of? Was that the principal mode of communication?
Yeah, so in 29, I mean, nowadays we have Starlink, so you literally
Mm,
got Wi-Fi on the boat. But on my first row, 29, so it wasn't really that long ago, but literally all I had was a satellite phone, and I had a machine that I could plug into the satellite phone that gave me the smallest, minute bit of internet, which meant I could send a compressed file of an email. So that's what I would do. I would send an email through that, and then I'd receive an email back, and that was it really. That was that was a communication back then, which was
Fantastic.
actually incredible because you are cut off from. In an emergency, I could ask for help, but you're not answering emails, text messages, looking at your phone every 5 minutes. It was like a detox, a life detox. You're literally out there on your own in the ocean with the wildlife, and it was
Yeah.
just amazing.
And so and thinking about those kind of encounters and that sort of thing. Yeah, I know your upcoming row in June, and you're saying it's like the furthest north of the crossings you've done, and therefore ice flows and icebergs and that sort of stuff. You're normally facing away from that stuff. It's coming up behind you, as it were, or you're advancing towards it backwards. And so, how do you know if you're about to? Who's going to shout "iceberg dead ahead," or how does that work?
Yes. So everything's moving very slowly. So most of it is going to be eyesight. But we've got extra equipment on board. So we're going to have a radar reflector. So because it's poor visibility, if there's a ship going by with radar, normally you look tiny on an ocean rowing
Hmm.
boat because one of the shape of it and two, the construction, you look really tiny on a ship's radar. But we'll
Yeah,
have a radar reflector which will make us look bigger. Um, we've got an AIS system, which is automatic identification system, which will alert us if there's any other boats nearby, and it will alert those boats that we're nearby. But yeah, as far as icebergs go, everything's moving slowly, and we're going in. So if you've got a drifting iceberg and we hit it, if we're doing 3 knots, our collision speed is probably like a knot or something, maybe a knot and
yeah.
a half, because it's going the same direction as us. So we should hopefully be
So,
able to see it.
other shipping is a much bigger danger, I
Yes,
suppose.
yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, okay, right, and presumably really good gloves are a good.
Well, and
Are
this is
you?
the other thing. I don't normally row with gloves. One, because the temperature doesn't need it, but also it's better for your hands. If your hands get used to just rowing barehanded, then you're you're ready to row on it on any shift. If you start wearing gloves, the salt can then, if it dries in a different shape, it will start rubbing in different places. But yeah, on this crossing, there are definitely going to be times where we're going to have to wear gloves.
You're
Um,
going to have to get comfortable with that. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, definitely.
that's it.
Wow. Oh, okay, okay. I'm disrupting all this, and you were doing so well. So we're we're actually at the last one now. So your fifth adventure habit, following on from build the right team. What's number five?
I've got adventure doesn't stop with age. So, I'm certainly not saying I'm past it or anything yet, but just because you're getting older, it doesn't mean that you need to stop adventure. It may mean that you need to change your goals or pick a different adventure, but it doesn't mean that's it. I'm going to be turning 50 more or less on the day that we leave for the North Atlantic from St John's. So I'm hoping that people will watch that and go, you know, wow, that is how you're doing stuff like that at 50 years old. That's incredible. And what's going to come after that? So hopefully it's inspiring people. Don't stop adventuring. Maybe change your goals or pick a different path if you really need to, but don't stop believing.
Yeah. Oh, wonderful, wonderful, and I think that can happen at absolutely every stage in life. My dad's 94 at the moment, and really, movement is very difficult for him. But my brother's brilliant at giving him small goals
Yeah,
each
brilliant.
day. He's a Pilates instructor, and
Perfect.
again, that breaking down things into tiny things and bits of rewards every now and then is so good. So, when eventually I reach 50, I could still do stuff. You didn't have to laugh that much. Oh my goodness. Right.
21.
Dawn, this has been an absolute pleasure. I'm just going to run through your adventure habits as well, just in case they've not drilled in with our listeners. But you must know your why, and it's not enough to go in there thinking I'm raising money for a good cause. No, you've got to feel it in your heart. It's got to be the thing that drives you, because if you're going to do something that needs that much stamina, attention, focus, the whole thing, then you don't want to be taken off beam. It has to be something you feel. And then preparing obsessively is clearly something you do in spades. Not a lot of us do, but yeah, know the boat. In your case, it sounded like knowing the boat inside out is a big part of it. So pay attention, Ben Fogle. I know you're going to be at the National Outdoor Expo when this comes out, and
Oh, no.
congratulations on Buffalo, by the way. Got to stay on the right side of Ben Fogle, don't
Yeah,
you?
we love him.
Yeah. Okay. Good. And then break things down. I kind of covered that a little bit earlier, but it is, it's very important to break things down. Give yourself small rewards as you go along. Build the right team, even if you believe your team is one. Have a look at your support network. In your case, you can name them, but many of us have got a lot of people that are behind us the whole time, fans that we never knew. And then adventure doesn't stop with age. In fact, here's a great example of a lady that's so much older than me, and she's still able to row across the Atlantic. I think I got you back at the end there, didn't I? Right. Okay, Dawn. So just a quick refresher: the work that you're doing, the stuff that you're doing, this amazing stuff that you're doing. You're raising money for
Phoenix Heroes.
Phoenix Heroes, and that's PTSD, and getting people to talk and giving people circumstances where they can really get together. So a big shout out to them. We'll be putting a link at the bottom of this, plus where you can keep up. So your next challenge is, I think I saw it was 30th of June. Is it you're setting off from St John's?
Maybe it was certainly in June, but yeah, maybe a little bit earlier than 30th. It would depend on the weather, but yeah, it will be towards the end
Okay.
of June.
Okay. There's some terrific websites anyway that you can you then get the live stuff from Dawn once she's underway. Dawn, it just remains for me to say thank you so much. You've been an inspirational adventurer, and we're so privileged to have your adventure habits here, and grateful for the time you spent with us today.
Thank you very much for having me.